wood in the ore delivery system to Supervisor J.G. McKenzie for $540. An estimated 137 cords of wood. Handled all of this stuff. I do not know what this house was, but we know what all the rest of this stuff was. And the newspaper said that by July 21st, the Bacon and Trench trestle work will be soon only a memory. Well, how do we know all this? Well, because we got the sales slip. I think Stephen sent me this, but this is the estimate of all the wood by location. This says tramway. I'll have to read it off of here. I can't read the writing right now, but anyway, he adds up all the cords, and this is the back side of that invoice, and it says down here by September he had actually paid $200 of the $540. This was used for firewood. Okay, what happened to the track? Mr. Yerrican again writes Mr. Mills. And this is interesting because I'm going to skip the first part. The second one tells us when the decision to narrow gauge to Carson, Colorado was made. He says, I replied to your question asking if it was to be wide or narrow gauge and if I was to make the matter public in the enterprise. Your message of last night regarding what weight of rail do you recommend for the extension wide gauge gave me sufficient answer to which I followed. I think 45-pound steel rails with extra heavy strap would serve well. My reason being that our Silver City branch is laid with 45-pound iron, although the grade is exceedingly heavy and curved sharp, yet it stands splendidly under the wear and tear of our heavy ore and wood trains running down to the trench mill. Our experience is that a 45-pound rail is equal to a 56-pound rail. Then, the next letter says, I find we have 2 miles of first-rate 45-pound rail on Silver City sidetrack. Mr. Hunter says it's as good as 35-pound new steel rail. Saw Mackey today and he said Silver Mill was used up, and then if he got another bonanza, he would work at the river mills. We will take this track up at early day and lay it at Mount House, as you suggested. July 13th, they took the track up. The Carson, Colorado purchased 20,330 feet of 46-pound rail for $60 per ton and moved it to Mount House. The remaining trackage at Silver City was an 850-foot siding and the 500-foot turntable lead. The turntable and section house were removed. In '82, the turntable was sold to the Carson, Colorado for $500 to $600 and went to Candelaria. So we have a picture of the second Silver City turntable in Candelaria, which I couldn't find and couldn't put up here. This is a very interesting article because I can't understand what they were doing. It says Mr. Granger was letting some cars loaded with ties down the Silver City switch. They got the best of the break and colliding with a standing car threw him to the ground, covering him with ties. Well, this was July 17th. They were scrapping the branch. Why were they taking cars with ties down to Silver City? Mystery. Okay, the Silver City switch fading into the dust. Property list was 815 feet in 1880 with a 500-foot turntable lead. 82 Silver City residents were granted the use of the right-of-way for a wagon road. The 87 property tax listed the siting now down to 368 feet, and in 1927 it was taken out completely. As I said before, this is how I think it looked when they abandoned it, that they filled in the turntable. It had this excavation here to get about a 500-foot lead. These numbers were based on my walking it, so they're plus or minus 100 feet. But they're a good estimate of how long that thing was. These are all stone retaining walls that were still in place. And you'll see a picture of this one. Okay, the obituary. How are we doing on time? I'm sorry, I don't have a watch. What time is it? Okay, I'll read real fast. A former resident of this city who should return to town after an absence of a few months could not help but be impressed with the air of desolation which pervades Silver City. Immediately after passing through Devil's Gate, he would see a wide open space where formerly stood the Pioneer and Devil's Gate mills, with their strings of sluices stretched hundreds of feet down Gold Canyon. Advancing down Main Street, he would miss the trestle work which extended across the canyon to the Hope Mill. Directly behind of this mill, the old Sherman Mill can no longer be seen. A couple of 100 feet further, at a distance of 400 or 500 feet on both sides of the street, the houses have disappeared, and nothing besides a few blackened ruins marks the place where once stood large dwelling and lodging houses. At the foot of Main Street, the old Bacon and Kelsey mills are no more, while the once familiar trestle work of the Virginia Railroad to the Bacon and Trench mills is gone. Taken all together, the appearance of the town is far from encouraging. Nothing less than such a bonanza as that is reported in the Benton, Alta, and Justice will be required to lift her up from her present depression and reset her in a prosperous way. Lyon County Times, 11/20. And a month later, the Lyon County Times was in Dayton, not in Silver City. Okay, well, we're going to walk down the track, and we're going to do it quickly. And those of you who need to leave may do so. I won't be upset. You know, these pictures mean a lot to me because they jog my memory. I'm not sure what they're going to mean to you, but we'll see. Okay, we're standing on the right-of-way south of Silver Switch, and here's the right-of-way, the V&T coming down, and here's the Silver City Switch going down the hill. Now we're standing on the turntable lead, looking at the V&T main, and I want you to remember this picture because the right-of-way alongside Silver Switch is straight for at least 400 or 500 yards, then a gentle curve, more straightaway, and then off to the tunnel. That ain't the way it looks today with rails on it. Here's the retaining wall. This is the main line, the V&T. Here's one of the retaining walls that was built to keep the hillside off the main line. Typical V&T construction, native rock. Another hand-drawn map. Here's the main line of the V&T. The Silver City Switch going down. All of the rock walls that were there. And there's a grade here that we never understood. It's between the main line and the Silver City Switch, and eventually joins up down here. And whether that was a road or a passing siding, who knows? But it's there, and we can't ignore it. Or, pardon me, it was there. There's a guy you all recognize. Looks like Mike Collins. This is the turntable lead, the long, level turntable lead. Here's the main line. Okay. The junction was up here just around the curve. The turntable lead came all the way down, and over here is the turntable. This friend of mine, Tom Vandenbosch, on a different trip, you can see here, here's the main line. Here's the turntable pit edge. So you can see the turntable was quite a bit higher because you're now 500 feet away or 400 feet away from where the line, the lead met the main line. This is the edge of the embankment around the turntable. There is the turntable pit. I'm standing on the center of the turntable pit. The embankment is all the way around here, and here's where the hillside is slumped into the pit. And here's the excavation on the back side to make the siding longer. I showed you this before, so I can get through it. There's Mike standing on that excavation that I call the engine house pit, but was just an extension of the grade after they abandoned.